Welcome to the piano lesson, one finger at a time, or more than one finger at a time. You don't have to use one, you can use two if you like, three if you're ambitious, four or five. If you're really going for it, use 11 fingers or 12. Why not? Who's to stop you? Not me, that's for sure. Welcome, future Liberaces, future Rachmaninoffs, future Thelonious Monkuses. Errol Gardner, future Mrs. Mills, James Booker, Hughie Smith, Professor Longhair, Dr. Johns. Most important thing is to have fun with it. It doesn't matter if you're Rachmaninoff after a couple of weeks of heavy practicing. Important thing is to have a bit of a lark, have a bit of a chuckle, and if you do that, then you'll feel more inclined to keep coming back to it. And when you do that over a long period of time, you might actually get good at it. And then if you keep doing it, you might get really good at it. And if you keep doing that, you might be brilliant at it. And I'll be coming to you for lessons. So today, I thought we're gonna just do licks, riffs, what the musicians call riffs, phrases, little motifs, and I'm going to just make them up off the top of my head, and the idea is that you try and play them and do it parrot fashion. And sometimes parrot fashion is a good way to learn. You can explain things, and you can give theory, and you can approach it many different ways, and they're all valid. But sometimes it's good just to learn some riffs without really knowing what they are or what they do. But we'll do some, and we'll do them. A lot of these lessons have been in C, because I think if you keep them in one key, then if you learn different phrases, then there's a point at which you'll be able to start joining them up. Much in the same way as when you learn a language. If you learn a language, if you imagine you're dumped in Spain, and you've got to go down to the shop and get some groceries, or you've got to go and ask for a coffee or say hello to your neighbour, and you don't speak any Spanish, you will gradually start learning phrases and odd words. And then once you've got enough of them, you start filling in the gaps. And that's kind of the way I learnt playing music, really. And so there's some merit to that. So let's get started. Very good. She's showing off now. I actually really do want a beer. Bloody hell, it's only like 12 o'clock.
That's Friday.
Calm down. Let's play some of these. I'm going to play them slow for you. You play along, and then when we get to the end, you can play this thing back. And it's something you can just come when you get half an hour spare. You can just come back and play this lesson again, and just practice these things, and then gradually be able to start using them in the blues or in a little boogie or whatever it is you're playing. So we're playing in C. Back to basics. Here's C. Here's the chord of C major. Here's the chord of C minor. Just play these with me as I'm playing them. This is just to get us in the basic ballpark before we start playing licks. Here's F. There's F minor. And once again, F. Change this note, make it F minor. Here's G major. And if you change this one, of course, you've got G minor. C, play C, play F, play G, play F again, play C. Now play a C in the bass, two hands on the Cs. And now I'm going to show you something very hip, which I don't think we've actually touched on yet. Play an F in the bass, but instead of playing F up here, play a C minor on top of an F, and listen to what you get. Whoa! That's a really great blues chord. So that, okay, so let's hang on, let's just look at what we just did there. This is really a breakthrough right now, because what we're playing in the right hand is C minor. And if you play a C in the bass, here it is, C minor in all its melancholy splendor. Sad chord. But now, keep this hand the same and play an F in the bass, and these same notes now are performing an entirely different role. They are the same notes, but when you put an F in the bass, it becomes an F chord, and these same notes are now presented in a different light, and you're getting a great blues chord, which is F seventh with a 9 on top. You don't really need to know what those numbers mean right now, but I'm just telling you what the name of the chord is. But play it. C minor in the right hand, F on the bass. Nice big chunky bass with an octave there, two of them, that F and that F, so they reinforce each other. Okay, that's very interesting. So now you know that a chord can be different things to different keys. And so let's start playing some licks. Play a C in the bass, and I'll do this. Slow it down. And I'm going to stop talking a minute, I'm just going to play, and then I'm going to leave a gap afterwards for you to play the same thing. And we're just going to do it over, and that's the lesson for today. So strap in, because here we go. Same thing with F in the bass, slightly different. You'll notice I'm not playing this in time, or I'm not playing a song, I'm just playing riffs. And this is just simply.
Ray Charles.
Huh?
You're almost playing Ray Charles.
Ray Charles. All the way Ray Charles. But Ray Charles learned a lot of his stuff in New Orleans. And that's the blues, basically. But this is just to build up your vocabulary of riffs and start to get you familiar with where these notes lie on the keyboard. So this is G. Okay. C. The blues has basically 3 chords. Most of rock and roll has 3 chords. And in this instance, we're playing in the key of C, and the 3 chords are C, F, and G. C. There's hundreds, thousands of blues tunes and rock and roll tunes. You know, you ain't nothing but a hound dog. Huh?
Call the keys out when you're doing it.
Okay, C. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, howling all the time. To F. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, come on howling all the time. C. To G. You ain't never caught a rabbit. F. And you ain't no friend of mine. Good golly, Miss Miley, you sure like the ball. Good golly, Miss F. Miley, you sure like the ball. C. When you're rocking and your G rolling. F. You can hear your mama call. Well, I went to a party at the county jail. They began well. They began to swing. C. Should have heard them jailbirds. F. Let's rock. Everybody C. Let's rock. G. When you're in a wholesale block. F. I was dancing to C. Jailhouse Rock. Number 47 set to number 3. Now you're the cutest jailbird I ever did see. C. That is not with your company. Come on and do the Jailhouse Rock with me. F. Let's rock. Everybody, let's see, rock. G. Well, everybody in the wholesale block. F. I was dancing to the Jailhouse Rock. So, well, I'm Lonely Avenue, Ray Charles. C. F. Listen to this. C again. G. F. C. All right, so look, there's 3, just off the top of my head, 3 songs that you might be familiar with. What I did at the end there is important, though, because in the first couple of examples, we played this riff in C, and then we played the same riff in F. Then we played the same riff in G, F, and then C. The last time I played it, though, I kept playing the same C riff and just changed the bass notes. And check this out. So I'm basically saying this, playing the same blues riff in C and just changing the bass notes, and that works. So that's an interesting thing. Anyway, I don't want to get off the track too much. This lesson today is riffs and just learning stuff parrot fashion. So here's another riff. C.
Do it again.
Some people call this the blues scale. I don't like thinking of blues scales because it's a good way of simplifying things to start with. But just play the notes. And play them back the other way around. Play a C in the bass. Actually go low down, make a nice big. Do it again. One finger at a time. Now play an F in the bass and do the same thing. Now play a C back in the bass. Play a G in the bass. A little bit different. F. Start right at the top. That's pretty hip. You've just gone down the whole length of the piano, and basically you're playing the same riff over and over again. What's it, 6 times or 7 times? Start here on the top. That's a C. So there, you just played the blues scale all the way down the length of the keyboard, and you're only really playing one phrase and then repeating it an octave lower and then repeating it, and you're repeating it 6 or 7 times. I didn't count, I don't know how many that is, but when you get dexterous you can change your fingering a little bit and you go. Start down here and go the other way. With your left hand.
Are you mostly using your thumb and middle finger when you do it?
Yes, but really just use whatever is comfortable to start with. You can start adjusting your fingering later on. And when you want to start, if you're playing one finger at a time, just so you can get to the point where you can remember the notes and play it so that it feels like music, so that there's an evenness in the gaps. Do it slow. You just do that over and over again, and you'll be making all sorts of mistakes and stumbling and having to go back to the beginning. But if you do it and practice it, you'll get to the point where you just remember where the notes are. And to get to that point, you can just use one finger. If you want to go bab daddly diddly dum and get faster, you'll learn very quickly that to do that with one finger is almost impossible. I can hardly do it. So that's when you start going, well, I've got to figure out a way to do this. And instead of going, I'll go, and then that's when you start getting more aware of the different ways you can use your whole hand now to phrase these things.
Like you
But
use that in nobody's saying. Oh, well, somebody said something. But that's what you do in Poor Boy Blues, isn't it? Isn't that like what you use in your song, Poor Boy Blues?
Oh, at the very end, I think it is the very last riff is. I think it might be, yeah.
See, I know a thing or two.
You do know a thing or two. I'm kind of impressed that you know that. But I'm not even sure if that is what I do, though. I can't remember. I can't remember how Poor Boy Blues
It's
goes.
when you do it
And
live.
I wrote it. Yeah.
That's not it.
Something like that, yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if this applies, but I'll read the question.
Okay.
Wendy Simmons says, "Can you show us that sweet lick you do in your song Smile in a While?" And you've got 7 minutes left.
I wonder which riff Wendy's referring to. Is it? That's a riff. A riff is a little phrase.
That's a good one.
So, okay, so G. So the song goes, I saw you, oh, and I knew, oh, I want you always, always, right here, yes, right here, baby, oh, in my heart. So that's the song, and the riff goes, I saw you, oh. So the riff, very simple. One finger, simplest form. Here it is. So now to make it sound fatter, you can play it as an octave. Now if you try it with your left hand too. And then this time we're going to put a little bit of phrasing into it to sweeten it up and start sculpting it into something that's got some character. So here's the riff again, spread over 3 octaves. And then when we go to this note, in the left hand I'm going to go, see that? So he goes, and you just introduce something there that gives it the bit of soul. And what I do, this is complicated, but just to give you an example. I'm doing a flourish by using these, playing a quick arpeggio. And then I'm kind of playing the blues scale. This time I'm playing it in G. We were playing it earlier on in C. But if you do it in C, let's go back a little bit. Okay. Now do that in octaves. Take your time. The idea is to get the notes really clear. 2 notes sounding as one. So you play them exactly at the same time and you take your fingers off at the same time. And there's precision here. And you hit them with the same velocity, same strength, whether it's soft or hard. And then using the idea I just showed you on the Smile in a While riff, spread it over 3 octaves and try and introduce That's kind of advanced, but it just gives you an idea how you can take something that's fundamentally simple, a blues scale over one octave, and then you can start dressing it up. 2 fingers, 3, and then little flourishes, little details. There you go, just that. So instead of just playing, you're doing this little thing here. We're going. Might just be sliding up from 1 note underneath. Or you can be ambitious and go 3 notes. Or 4 notes. So it's something that's simple that then you make sound very rich with the addition of some extra value and phrasing.
Will you do just the little bit of the Smile a While simply and then do it?
Yes.
Slow. Do it simply and then do it your way.
Okay, simply Smile in a While. Key of G. Play the chord of G. Look at the notes. Remember what we did in early lessons about inversions. Here it goes, starting at the note of D. I saw you all and I. So that's how it starts. An octave, same thing, but now we're playing it, making it sound bigger and fatter. Now, spread it over 3 octaves. Do the same thing here. And you're not going to get it straight away. Some of you will, but some of you will find it's a struggle. But that's all right. You just play it back and take your time. Turn the tape off. I keep saying tape. It's a video on the internet, but I'll just say tape because that's pause buttons and fast forwards and all that stuff is easier to remember. See how much nicer that sounds than just... And then... And then I would play it with, if I was playing with the band, I go... I saw you on and I knew I want you always, always, always. Right here on me. Right in my heart.
And then there's a quick question. Leslie Rayner says, is there a specific name for when you slide quickly between the 2 adjacent notes?
Yes, in classical music the term is gliss, a glissando. That's a glissando, abbreviated to gliss. Here endeth the 1 finger at a time piano lesson for today. It's been half an hour. Boy, that went by really quickly. So lots of stuff there. And go back and just play these things parrot fashion for fun. And in themselves, they're just individual building blocks. Ultimately meaningless in the big picture, as meaningless as a brick is compared to a building. But you can't make a building without bricks. Well, you can.
Yeah, you can, but
if you're making a brick building, you can't
You
make a
need
building
bricks.
without bricks. And so these are the building blocks of rhythm and blues. And so you go back to the other lessons and all this stuff interconnects and you, over time, amass of vocabulary. And much in the same way as when you hold a conversation and you speak a sentence, your brain doesn't think of each word one by one in sequence as you structure your sentence together. You have an abstract idea and the sentence just comes out. I'm going to the shop tomorrow. You don't think, I am going to the shop tomorrow. If you're learning a foreign language, you do. But if you start learning expressions, then it gets to a point where you can get your point across by joining up expressions, and sometimes the bits you don't know, well, you can just leave those as gaps and to fill in later on. But you're starting to get to the point where you can express musical ideas or musical sentences, and it's a slow process, but it's a lot of fun. And so just play these things and slow them down and just listen to the joy and the beautiful music. Press the pedal down and see what it sounds like. And play music with them. Play them, so try and make it sound like music. Take your time between the notes. It's like it's a Johnny Watson song called "We're No Exception to the Rule," which I recently recorded with Johnny Vidakovich and James Singleton on a record that's going to come out, I think, in the fall. That's it, basically. I'm going to start putting. I'm so engrossed in making a new record at the moment that's kind of taking up a lot of my time, but I'm going to put together a couple of little piano things for the Patreon site, and these lessons are all available. They're still up for a few days on YouTube.
Except for a week, I think.
For a week, yeah, and then after that they're all organised in sequence on the Patreon site. So that's where you can check them out. Thank you very much. All your tips are gratefully appreciated. Accept all denominations: quetzales, zlotys, rubles, pesos, drachmas, forints. Hungarian forints,
yeah.
very good. Precious jewels, diamonds, ingots,
emeralds,
of
ingots of
aluminium.
All right, enough of that.
Enough of that. See you on Tuesday. Cheers.